Hi guys, this is Drishti Sanghavi from Clear P2P, and today I want to talk about revenue operations. Revenue operations in general as a topic has been talked about a lot of times before. We too at Clear have been talking about it for a while, and while we are glad that a lot of aspects are being covered, there are two things that don't get covered when you talk about revenue operations. So first, let's talk about everything that we've already talked about, which is one, revenue operations in general means alignment between sales, marketing, customer success, sometimes even product, and having one leader at the very top, head of revenue usually, who leads all of these departments, and instead of having like fragmented departments, everything is under one department. When we talk about stuff like this, what usually gets brought up and what the discussion usually revolves around is alignment. And while alignment is a major part of revenue operations is just not limited to alignment. And that's one thing that I want to talk about today. The other, which is when we talk about only alignment, what we tend to really miss out on is that when we mention the word alignment, a lot of people think alignment between teams or people, but we don't talk about tech stacks, we don't talk about data. So not just the teams, but also data and tech stacks have to merge with each other. And when companies don't realize that alignment goes beyond just alignment between teams, what tends to happen is that they will appoint a leader, the revenue leader, and teams will be integrated. But data and tech stacks will not be, and that causes multiple problems. I'm going to take this and like case by case basis. So what revenue operations means in certain industries and how can it impact you, how it impacts growth and revenue more than just alignment, basically. For starters, I want to talk about the companies in the slow growth industries. So companies looking to pursue high business valuation in slower growth industries, especially recurring revenue businesses, need to understand that a lot of revenue is made in the later stage of the cycle. So obviously there's first getting the leads, quality leads of course, and then converting them, and then keeping them. And keeping them, that part is what a lot of companies tend to forget. Of course, you spend a shit ton of money, energy, resources on getting these quality leads and converting them. And then if you just let them go, that's a lot of revenue gone down the drain. Revenue operations can also help you focus all your resources on high opportunity clients and not have to shoot in the dark. Because if you're like going after thousands of leads, it's better to go after a few, but make sure that they are high opportunity, high ROI. Restructuring your organization with having like one leader at the top, RevOps controlling everything, can also improve the speed at which contracts get closed, get rid of like bureaucracies that come with having multiple departments. Also, sometimes semantics matter. In this case it does, which is if sales, marketing and CS happen to be one department, it's easier to ask for help, it's easier to rely on each other versus if they were different departments. Because in this case it would be asking help from a teammate and not another department. What can also help here is having one dedicated person assigned to like closing the gaps. So customer journeys in general have a lot of gaps and margins where revenue can like flow out of, leak out of, and there could be one designated person assigned to close this loop in general, and revenue operations gives you the opportunity to do that by having like one single point of management. Handoffs are eliminated and a leakage is stopped, which is really important. Revenue operation essentially gives you the opportunity to close the loop. For organizations with very complex offerings or complex organizations in general, have the opportunity to become more agile through revenue operations. Revenue operations in general helps them adapt to changes and like pursue opportunities that are newer on the market. And this is exactly where the point of integrating tech stacks and data comes into picture. Because if you find a way to use your data in the right ways, you can actually increase the speed of like closing these prospects and these deals. Because in complex organizations where the product is complex and the sales cycles are longer, having insight on buyers, customer journeys, etc. is very important. You can also spot growth opportunities through these commercial insights and prioritize contacts based on their potential, likeliness to buy, etc. And then it's also easier to get higher ROI on your data. Having different departments and inconsistent tech stacks also comes with the problem of exporting, importing data, etc., having duplicate accounts, having duplicate contacts, stuff like that. And that can be eliminated if you have consistent tech stacks that overlap and basically one single department. Old school software firms that are now upgraded to selling SaaS can also benefit from having one single team and revenue operations in general, because the team holistically can have the same purpose, which is increasing CLV and bettering the customer experience. CLV, like I mentioned before, is making sure that the recurring revenue at the end of the cycle keeps happening. So basically you retain your customers. This also means that your customers in general are happy because they're hearing clearer messages from everybody. The messaging is consistent. Sales is not saying one thing and then marketing is not promoting the other thing. It's all consistent. All journeys have been simplified. They don't find themselves speaking to multiple people during the course of the sale. Everybody has insight on what the other person is doing, and it makes the journey a lot more easier. With hyper growth cloud companies, it's also beneficial to have a revenue operations team in general instead of like fragmented departments, because there they can centralize everything around the customer journey. And if you want to grow, obviously your customer journey needs to be amazing. What that means for you is technology and insights usually are force multipliers. Sounds counterproductive, but hear me out. By using lesser accounts, being more focused on getting quality leads and getting data and customer insights, and by using the bare minimum of human resources that you have internally, you can actually grow faster. There's tech that enables mass personalization. There's tech that helps sales managers listen in on calls and coach their teams. And tech like that can actually help you grow faster, provided you have one single team where the customer journey is accounted for. Predictable growth in general becomes easier for hyper growth companies, because through revenue operations it is easier to predict revenue and hence growth. Even in unpredictable situations and circumstances, it is easier to understand what the market is going to shove your way with revenue operations. So wrapping it up here, what I'd like you to take away from this is that revenue operations in general, while focused on alignment or initially focused on alignment, should not just be about alignment, and it should not just be about teams aligning. It's so much more than that. And while its impact on campaigns and data and revenue is appreciated, there's so much more to revenue operations than what meets the eye. And the conversation around that is needed. Thank you so much.